Hello everyone, this is Daryl, your family tree guy. In this video, I'm going to talk about the parental and caregiver acknowledgement statement. That's a statement you make when individuals other than the parent has raised or was a caregiver to a child, such as a family member, foster member, so on and so forth. All right, now first I'm going to do this. I'm going to have my little scenario here. Let me pull it up. Give me a second. Where is it? This is my scenario. All right. Now, I'm going to copy and paste this to make it somewhat easier. Okay. To copy, I'm going to select all. Then I'm going to copy. Now, this first example scenario, the child is raised by mom and stepdad while biological father is in and out of jail. You've heard something like that before. The father's never ran in and out of jail on drugs, so on and so forth. Well, I'm going to show you how to add such information. The child's name is Carolyn Gaines. So we're going to start with Carolyn. We're going to pretend she's not listed. All right, so since Carolyn's not listed, so on and so forth, and since I'm already logged in as an administrator, not only isn't Carolyn listed, neither is her mother, so this is like a clean slate. So first let's add her people, or if it's already in people. Click add name. So we're going to start with Carolyn. All right. Now let me paste all of that information. Give me a second, press down, hit paste. Now we're going to start at the top. So first scenario, the daughter, father's in and out of prison. So let me get rid of that because I won't need that anymore. All right, so the child's name is Carolyn Gaines. Press, oops, give me a second, press down, scoot over a little bit, hit copy, go up here, paste. Okay, get rid of, let me see, paste. Okay, get rid of Carolyn. Okay, so we have Carolyn Gaines. That's the starter person. Okay, her biological father is Tyrone Gaines. Her biological mother, Cynthia Williams. Her maiden name is Williams. Last name Matthews. So now we're going to add her biological parents. Okay. So I already have Carolyn. Copy and paste all of this. Select all. Cut. Hit save. Now we're going to add her biological parents, although she was raised, her stepfather helped raise her, but we'll get to that later. All right, paste. All right, now the stepfather's name, stepfather Tyrone. Press down, click over, copy. Press down. All right, paste. Click over. Okay, we got the biological father added. Now we're going to add the biological mother, Cynthia Williams Matthews. Okay, they were not married. Okay, select all. Cut. Save. Okay. Now, let me do this. Let me do this for a second. I want to add spouse. Change it later. Okay, although they weren't married. Not married. Come on. Not married. Now press down. Oops, press down, paste. Okay, now what's the mother's name? Cynthia. Copy. Paste. Her maiden name is Williams. I want all of that. Scoot over there. Copy. Put that in the middle box section where the maiden name goes. And what's her last name? Her married name. Copy. Paste. Now Cynthia's husband. Okay, we got the biological parents. Cynthia's husband is Ronald Matthews, so select all. Cut. Save. Now, okay, it's going to ask me to confirm that Cynthia is Carolyn's mother. Yes, leave a check there. Click OK. Now we go to Cynthia. Add her husband Ronald Matthews, her spouse. Okay. Go down here to place my information. Paste. Hold down. Come on. Press. Paste. Okay, now what is his name? Cynthia's Ronald Matthews. He's the father figure. Cynthia's father's figure. Due to the fact the father wasn't around. Paste. Ronald. Paste. Matthews. Okay. Now. Now. That's the father figure. Cut. Now we're going to acknowledge Karen. We're going to go to Carolyn and start the acknowledgement. So let me cut all of that out. Yes, they were married. Hit save. Okay. So we have Carolyn and her biological parents, Tyrone and Cynthia. Then we have the stepfather. All right, so how do we tell someone, show that the stepfather was an influential person in Carolyn's life due to the absence of her dad? Well, first, we start with Carolyn. Okay, in her little notes section, we add, paste. So in Carolyn's little notes section, we make an acknowledgement such as what I'm about to make. Okay. Although Tyrone is the biological father of who was this? Is that that should be Carolyn. Right, of Carolyn. That should be Carolyn. Carolyn. Okay. Carolyn's true father figure and caregiver was Ronald Matthews, her stepdad. So we're going to leave that there. Now we got to go make the acknowledgement in her father's. Give me a second. Take that all the way there. Okay, that's cool. That's not cool. I want to get that. Give me a second. Let me get that again, people. All right, where's it at? Okay, I want to leave that there. I want to snatch that up. Come all the way down. Oh, you know what? That's crazy. Here's what I'll do. I'll just copy it all. Select all. Copy. And let me see. Let me get rid of this. I'm trying to. Now we have it next to Carolyn. Although Tyrone is the biological father of Carolyn, Carolyn's true father figure and caregiver was Ronald Matthews, her stepfather. Now we go to Tyrone, the father, make a little notation in his box. Give me a second. Let me pause it. Now, as you can see, this is Tyrone Gaines, Carolyn's biological father. Well, since he wasn't the father that he should be, you place a little note here, since someone else raised this child. Although Tyrone is Carolyn's biological father, Carolyn was raised by her mom and stepfather, Ronald Matthews. Now, since Ronald Matthews is mentioned, we have to go to Ronald's page. Give me a second. To get to Ronald's page, I have to go to Cynthia's. And then I go to Ronald's, since Cynthia's linked to Ronald. And now I have to make a little notation in Ronald's page. Give me a second. Let me pause it. Now we're here at Ronald's page. So we have a little statement. Ronald cared for and helped raise his stepdaughter, Carolyn Gaines. So we have Ronald. We have the father, the biological father. Give me a second. Or let me start here. So we have three individuals in this equation. We have Carolyn, who was a child. Carolyn was not only taken care of by her mother, but her stepfather as well. At the same token, that doesn't change the fact that Tyrone is the biological father. Well, you give credit where it's due. And because the stepdad, Ronald, took care of her, did basically more than what the father did, you acknowledge that the stepfather helped raise the child, so on and so forth. Let me pause for my next example. Now, everyone, in this example, this scenario, both parents, biological parents, were not there for the child. So the child was raised by a non-family member, or so on. So in this case, we're going to pretend Carolyn, the child. This time, her biological father, still Tyrone Gaines. Her mother's Cynthia Williams. But her foster parents are, her foster mother was Rebecca Matthews, and her foster father was Ronald. So we're going to add the first individual, which would be the child, and that's Carolyn Gaines. Okay, so let's add Carolyn as the child again, but this time she's a foster child. Okay. Because, some individuals are raised from a little child almost until adulthood with their foster parents. And you have a lot of great foster parents out there. There are some evil ones, but for the most part, they're great. And they should be acknowledged because they are family. I mean, if someone is raising you a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, a decade or more, that's your family. So we have Carolyn as a child. Now, although the parents were, deadbeats or whatever, they're still the biological mothers and father. So we're going to add them in a second. Give me a second. Once I add some of this information. So next I'm going to add Tyrone and Carolyn's mother, Cynthia Williams. Give me a second. So here we have Carolyn and her biological parents, Tyrone and Cynthia. Now we need to add her foster parents. So let me do this. Before I add the foster parents, I'm going to start with Cynthia and do the acknowledgement. Give me a second. Paste. Okay. Give me a second. Here we have an acknowledgement in Carolyn's box. Okay, her father, her mother. Although Tyrone and Cynthia are Carolyn's biological parents, Cynthia was raised and cared for by her foster parents, Ronald and Rebecca Matthews. Now we have to put notations up here in the biological parents section. Give me a second. So we have a notation in Cynthia, the biological mother. Although Cynthia is Carolyn's biological mother, Carolyn was raised by her foster parents, Ronald and Rebecca Matthews. Same with Tyrone, the biological father. Although Tyrone is Carolyn's biological father, Carolyn was raised by her foster parents, Ronald and Rebecca Matthews. Now we have to add Rebecca and Ronald somewhere on a tree. Let me do that now. Give me a second. I'm going to do that by, since Ronald and Rebecca are not related to anyone, so on and so forth that we know of, not to say that they're not, but there's no give me a second. There's no evidence that they're related to anyone. So, but we still want to list them in a tree because they were the caregivers, so on and so forth, and technically Carolyn's family. So we're going to create what is called another family. And this is how they're going to be linked. Okay. I'm going to add a new family. I'll start with Ronald. And when I add Ronald's name and his wife, then I'll make the notation linking him to Carolyn. So I'm going to pause. So here we have, finally, the foster parents. Ronald, the foster father. Ronald was a wonderful foster father and caregiver to Carolyn Gaines. That's how he's linked. He's linked by Carolyn Gaines. And when you go to Carolyn Gaines's page, it will mention Ronald. Same with Rebecca. Since she was family to Carolyn, she too has been listed and acknowledged. Rebecca was a wonderful foster mother and caregiver to Carolyn Gaines. So if Carolyn was raised by her grandparents, they too would be mentioned along with her biological parents. People want to, they would put the grandparents and try to exclude the biological parents without telling the more or less full story. Because at the end of the day, the biological parents will always be the biological parents, regardless of the circumstances. But that doesn't cancel those who took care of the child, so on and so forth. So that's why you acknowledge. Some guys would get upset that you acknowledge that another man has taken care of their children. But it is what it is. So if there are any questions, let me know. Thank you.